Hey guys, welcome to the UI channel. My name is Gabor and I am teaching how to design user interfaces in Figma. So if you are interested in UX or UI design, please subscribe to this channel. And in today's video, we are going to design a select flight page for an airline. And this is part 3 of this course. In the previous videos, we already designed the search widget states, city selectors, date selectors, and passenger selectors. And in the first part, we designed a homepage. And today we are designing the select flight page. And I'm going to use a bunch of techniques like components, auto layout, variants. So let's dive in and start designing this select flight page. So first of all, we need a frame, and as usual, I included all the details and colors and icons and pictures that we need for this tutorial. So first of all, let's create a frame. Simply hit the A key and we are selecting desktop and 1440. Let's bring it here, make it a bit bigger, zoom in, and for the background I'm just going to set this dark color for now. It's time to set up the grid. So we have some alignments to work with. I'm choosing columns, and by the way, it's here. So the count is 12. This one is center, the width is 80, and the gather is 32. And I'm just changing to a different color, maybe this blue. Okay. So in the first section, I want to put the destination picture, which is Tromsø, because I believe that's what we were designed in the first and the second one. Yeah, it's Lisbon to Tromsø. So here I want to make this hero area and indicate where are we flying from and where are we flying to. So, and I will also put an icon and some lines to indicate where we are flying from. And below this area, I will design a month selector that you can click on, and it will list different flights. And below the month selector, we're gonna create a date selector so the users can have more options to choose from. Maybe some days or some months are cheaper, so they can select those and then list the flight cards. But let's start with the hero section for now. So this picture here, I'm just going to put an overlay, a solid overlay of 40. And we are flying from Lisbon. I'm going to set this maybe 48, and the line height is 56. Set this to bold or medium. I still don't know. Maybe we'll change that later. And we are flying from Portugal. I want to make this smaller, so the font size is 24. The line height is 32. And we are flying to Tromsø, Norway. Simply just duplicate this and type in Norway. Maybe the countries I will set to medium. It doesn't need to be that prominent for now. And I'm going to grab this airplane icon and place it in the frame. And I also want to create like a dotted line here to indicate like we are departing from here, flying and landing in Tromsø. I think it just makes this hero area more interesting. So to do that, let's select the pen tool and hold and drag it to the plane. We are unselecting this pass by hitting enter. And the stroke color, in the previous videos we already defined the colors, but if you haven't yet, the colors are here, so it helps for you. So the color is going to be white. The width of the stroke is 3. And I want to make it to a dotted line. So we change solid from dash, and the dash is 1 point. And the gap between them may be 8. And the dash gap is rounded. Okay. I'm just going to modify this a little bit. Okay, something like this looks good to me. I also want to put here an indicator. So I'm going to draw an ellipse. The size is 24. The color is white and the opacity is 20. And I'm going to duplicate this by hitting Command D or Control D. And set the opacity of this ellipse to 100. Just make sure it aligns with our line here. Just editing the pass a bit to shape it to for my taste. Okay, this indicator, I'm going to group it and rename it to indicator. I'm going to select the country text layer and align to the center. We want the same indicator here under Norway as well, but let's first check how far is it. Let's make it 24. Okay, now we can group it. No, now we can duplicate it and drag it to Norway. under Norway and select this path, duplicate it and flip horizontal and put it somewhere here. I'm going to turn off the grid to see where we are now. Okay, this looks pretty okay to me. Let's start designing the month selector. So the month selector the shape is going to be some kind of rectangle with the price, the lowest price of that month, and the name of the month. So what I'm going to do is create a rectangle. We don't need to worry about the size and the shape for now, just create a rectangle and maybe set this to the darker color and create a text layer saying this is 120 euros. This is too big, so I'm going to set this to 32. The light height is 48. And I'm going to put a label here that says from, because obviously in that month, in those days of that month, the price could change. So this is from, and the size is 16 and the weight is regular. The line height is 24. I'm just aligning to the middle. Set the price to the already predefined colors and the from to this gray. And we need one more, which is the name of the month. Let's say May. Okay, select all of them and position to the middle. And let's create an auto layout, selecting the rectangle, the price, the from, and the months. And we can hit Shift A, or in this panel we can click on the plus button, and that creates an auto layout. For the background, I want to use the same background blur effect that we used on the home page and the select and the search widget states. So I'm going to detach this dark blue, dark color, and set the fill to 80. And I'm going to add an effect here, background blur, and set that to 24. Okay. Let's make the corners rounded, and the number for that is 12. And we can create a component. We are going to create a component from this, and let's say months selector or months tab. And I'm going to add the variant because we need a selected state as well. So if you go to the top of the panel here, you can just simply hit this plus button. If you hover it, it says add variant. And for this one, I don't need a background blur. I want the fill to be this neon gradient. and the text I want to use these dark ones, darkest. So what I want to do here is putting a little indicator for the selected state, and we already have that in the search state flow. So I'm going to simply copy that and paste it here. And also I'm going to paste it here for you guys, so you don't need to draw it. And the background color is the neon gradient. And let's make the variant container a bit bigger and see if we drag this down and put it in the middle. Okay, I think it will work. So we have our components and variants here. I'm going to select the frame and going to search for the component in this panel. I'm just simply dragging it here. I'm going to duplicate it a few times. I want at least 6. So this is good. Let's turn on the grid and put this whole thing, all these components, select all the components and put it to auto layout by holding down the shift and hit the A key. And the components inside, we are going to select them again and set this to fill container. And if we are dragging this auto layout section, the components that are inside it, they are going to stretch because we set them to fill container. And the spacing between these components is going to be 32, just as our grid. So that's great. And I want to first I'm going to set this is default and the variant 2 is the selected state. So now if you want to change this to a selected one, we just simply hit the properties and change this to selected. And we have a little bit of problem here. Let's see. I'm selecting all the text layers and set them to center, and the indicator to the center as well. And as you see, it changed here as well because they are components. So everything we make here, it's going to change on these child components as well. So let's say if I change the price color to this neon gradient, it will change as well. So that's great. Also, I don't want the round corners here on the bottom, so I'm going to fix that by detaching with this button and say it's only on the top and we don't need on the bottom, and it's changed as well. Okay, so this part is done. Now we are going to design the days. It's going to be very similar to this one, although the day selected state will not have this little indicator. So let's just make it very quickly. As before, just create a rectangle, make the color to this dark, and say Sunday, May 12th. And this is obviously very big, so I'm going to change it to 12 or 14. The line height is 24. And the font weight is regular or medium. We will maybe change that later. And again, the price, which is 32 and 48, and let's say 120 euros. Select both of them, set the text alignment to center, add the colors from the predefined white, and one more little label here, which indicates that this is a round trip. Okay. Let's align all of this together and select everything, the rectangle and text layers, and hit the auto layout button. And the corner radius is 12. Let's rename this to Day tab, create a component, and we are going to make a gradient as well. For the selected state, selected. The background is the neon gradient, and the text color is dark. And let's set the font weight for the price to bold. I'm sorry. And now we can place it in our design. Let's select, search for the component, Day tab, drag it here. And I'm going to duplicate it a few times. Six is enough because I also want to add some chevrons, so you can go backwards and forwards in time, so you can check different days. So by creating the chevrons, I am making a circle or an ellipse. Set it to 48. The background is neon gradient. And I am going to create this chevron icon super fast with the pen tool. The color is this dark blue, and let's say 3 or 2. Maybe we'll change that. And let's see. it's a bit too big, so I decrease the size a little bit. Okay, it looks good to me. So let's group it with Command G or Control G and rename it to chevron. Okay, I want to add this to the left as well, so holding down the Alt key and dragging to the right. And I want to flip this to horizontal because this is going to the right. Select everything. Make sure everything is aligned vertically to the center. And we are going to create auto layout again. So Command or Control G and auto layout. And I want to put this whole thing in another section, or not another section. I want to add like a line or a stroke to this section. So by doing so, I'm going to add some horizontal padding to 24 and padding to the top and the bottom as well. And the stroke, maybe this color or this one. And the font and the weight of this line is 2. I like this lighter color better. The corners are going to be rounded here as well, so let's set that. And again, select everything inside this auto layout and set this fill container, and this one are fixed, so that's good. I'm just going to align with the bond selectors. So this is actually looking pretty good. Maybe I will change the background to this darker color, and the background of the day selector, let's see, yeah, this one. This looks way better for me. And I'm going to rename the months here. So let's say this is April, May, June, July, August, September. I'm going to set different prices. For example, this is 87, this one is 250, this one is 350, this one is 98, and this one is 56. And for the day selector, we want the selected state as well, so just pick one, whatever you like. I'm going to pick this one and set to selected, and 120 is good for that. Maybe the previous days are cheaper, so I'm just going to rename or retype these prices. and rename the days as well. Saturday, 11, Friday, 10, Thursday, 9. This one is the 12th, so this is 13. Monday again. Tuesday, 14th. Okay, and everything is round trip. So let's just quickly rename what we have for now. Just going to quickly select everything and deselect that I don't need, simply holding down the shift key and grouping this and saying this is the hero. This one is the months selector, and this one is the day selector. Okay, so now we have the month selectors and the day selectors. We also have the selected states for them. Now we can begin to design the flight cards. That is actually my favorite. I used to design lots of flight cards because I work for lots of airline companies, for lots of airlines. So this is actually my favorite. And to do that, I usually create a rectangle. Going to set the round corners to 12. And for now, I'm just playing with this card because I still don't know how the paddings or what is the content going to be. So I'm just creating this card for now, and let's fill up with some text. Say that we are going from Lisbon. This can be 18 points. This can be 32 and bold. The line height is 48. Let's just align these together. The margin between them is 0. So this is where we are flying from, and again where we are flying to, and we are putting a little airplane here, and the flight time, and the time of departure, and the time of arrival here. So let's just say this plane departs at 6:30 a.m. from Lisbon, and I want the a.m. a bit smaller, so I'm going to set to regular and 18. The time is very important, so I'm going to set this to 48 for now, and let's see if that works. I'm going to grab all of this layer by holding down the shift and clicking them and holding down the Alt key and just drag it to the right. Select the text alignment to right and align everything to the right as well. and we are going to Tromsø, which is the airport code. There is TOS, and this is Tromsø. And let's say we are going to arrive at 10:30 a.m. Okay. So as I said, to make this a little bit more interesting, I'm going to grab this airplane icon and paste it inside. I want to indicate it with a little dotted line. So I am creating this path, setting it to white. Okay, no, that's too big. Let's set it back to 2 or 3. And I want to make it to dash again. And the dash is 1 and the gap is 4 or 8. And I want to make like a gradient for this one, and I'm detaching from the global colors and set this to linear. And this end of the path is white, 100% opacity, but this end of the path is again white but 0 opacity. So it will create this gradient, and I'm going to drag this over by holding down the Alt key and flipping it horizontally. And select the 2 dotted lines with icon and group it and put it to auto layout and say this is the plane. Just going to put everything in auto layouts for now so we can play with it and organize it a bit better. Select the Lisbon layers, text layers. First this one and put it to auto layout, and then this one and put it to auto layout, and the spacing between those is 24 here. It's 24 pixels. Let's do the same here. Select Tromsø and the airport code, put it to auto layout. Select the time of arrival. Select the Tromsø one and put it to auto layout as well. And the spacing again is 24. What we also need here is the time of the travel. So this one is 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 4 hours of flight time. And obviously we don't need this big, so let's change it to 12 or 14. We can change that later, and set the font to regular because it doesn't need to be that prominent. The line height can be 20. Okay, and align with these numbers here. And I'm going to select the airplane icon and the flight time and put that to auto layout again. This by default centered it, so that's very good. Select everything, Lisbon, the airplane icon and Tromsø, and put to auto layout again. And let's say the padding is 40 on all sides. So 40 on the left, on the bottom, on the right, and the top as well. And I'm going to align with this card. The reason, because I am aligning with the card and not setting, I could set the background color to this color, but I want to make this card a little bit more interesting. So let's remove this for now. And I want to make like little dots and maybe like a little cutout from the edges. And the best way is to do that is to create some ellipses. Let's say this is 8, the width and the height is 8. And I just selected this color so we are seeing what we are doing. We can even select to this dark color. Okay. And I want to create this cutout that is going to be just a bit of a rectangle. Setting maybe to 16, edit the path and push these edges a bit closer. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you will see just in a minute why I'm doing like this. Let's duplicate this, flip it vertical and put it on the bottom. And I am grabbing everything here. So the background card, these dots and these little cutouts. And I'm going to say not uni on the selection, subtract selection. So now Figma is subtracted these elements that we created from the background. But if you see on the layers panel, we still have it. We have the dots, we have these little cutouts, and we want more of these dots. Let's see how far is it. Let's say this is 8. This is 8, and I'm going to drag this and duplicate this. Okay, select all the ellipse and put it somewhere in the middle. We can even, if we select these dots and it's equally spaced as it is now, you can check it here, we can even union this selection. Even if it unioned, we still have it separately, so this is actually very helpful, it's very great. And it doesn't look that good for now. For my taste, is kind of okay, but with a very simple little trick we can make it even more interesting. Let's select the background rectangle and remove the rounded corners. And I'm going to select this whole subtract layer. And I'm going to add the rounded corners here, let's say 8 or 12. And that's going to round this cutout as well, and it's actually really nice. So I really like that. And for this layer to make it resizable, because now if we resize it, it's obviously distorting the whole graphics. So let's just undo that. And I'm going to group it and create a frame from this background card. So then we can make it responsive. You will see it in a minute. So let's just hit Command D, no, not Command D, Command G, and select this, not to group, select this to frame. And inside this frame, I'm going to select the background card and say if we are stretching it, it's moving to the left and right as well. This one only stays on the right, and the little cutouts only stays on the right as well. So hopefully when I'm resizing this card, this is not going to distort, it will just stay in place. So let's check that. Okay, that's perfect. So it's working. So we can rename this to background card. And from this layer or this frame, I'm even going to create a component so we can reuse it. Okay, so now we have the background card. We can drag over this text frame inside and set it until, stretch it until these dots. And for the frames, it contains Lisbon, the airplane icon, and Tromsø. And for this frame, I'm going to set the auto layout properties here, the spacing mode to space between. So it's going to stretch it until here. And for the rest of the card, we actually just need a button that we can select the flight. That is going to be the price and the little radio button or a check button. So let's quickly draw that. Let's say this is a standard price, and what we have is 120 euros. So let's type in that, and the size of this layer is 32. Font weight is bold, the line height is 48. And we need a little selector, like a radio button, or not a checkbox, it's a radio button, but it's going to be with a check mark. So let's draw an ellipse. The size is 24, and I'm just creating a little check mark. It doesn't need to be dashed, it's going to be solid, and the background is this black check mark. Is white. Now we are just building this component, so maybe the colors will change. Let's just group this, put this to auto layout, and select everything and put everything to auto layout. I'm dragging to the side because I'm going to create a component and variants from it, because we need a default state and a selected state as well. So now I drag to the side. I need some paddings. I'm going to set to 16 for now for the left and right, and the middle is 16 as well. Let's set the color to this one or this one. The corner radius is 8 or 12, it depends on your taste. I'm going to set for 12 for now. Okay, so let's create a component from this and rename it to price button and create a different state. Sorry, I'm just going to fix the colors here so everything is global. So the selected state, let's rename it selected and make the background to this neon one and the text to this dark one. And the checkbox can be neon as well. Okay, that looks great. So now let's grab this component and put it here. And I don't like how it looks at the moment, so I'm going to change maybe to the default state, maybe to just a stroke, so we can experience with it, just explore what we like, what we don't like, maybe even the left and right padding can be a bit more. Okay, I'm just trying to position this to the middle. Okay. So I am going to put this price button again to auto layout. So Command G or Control G and auto layout. And the paddings are 40. So it's matching the card. And grabbing this text that contains all the flight information and the price and putting it auto layout again and saying that we don't need spacing between, but this one needs to be fill the container. Okay. If that one is filling the container and this one as well, no, this one needs to be fixed. No, this one needs to be if I'm setting this to fill container and this one to fill container, okay, this one needs to be fixed and this one needs to be fill container. Okay. And now hopefully it's going to work, but it doesn't want to. So probably I'm just going to remove this, set this to the center, and remove this flight card infos, and grab the background card and the flight infos, and then group it all together. Flight card, and create a component. Now this, because we created a component that contained a component, it's going to put this other component outside of the frame. Sorry, a key is missing here. So let's see now. Getting there. Okay, so what we need to do here is the flight informations we need to set to fill, and the price button we need to set to fixed. And that way, if we are selecting it and resizing, it's going to work. It's going to be responsive, so we can work this card very much better. So let's say this is the first flight of the day. Now I am going to hold down Alt and just duplicate it. The margin top is 40. And let's say there is another flight which is at 10:30. And it will arrive at 2:30 p.m. Duplicate it again and say this one leaves at noon and arrives at 4 to Tromsø. And the card that I'm going to, the flight that I'm going to select is going to be this one. So I'm going to change this variant to selected. And let's just experiment a little bit here. We have our background card, because maybe I even want to add like a stroke to this card. Let's see if that works. So I'm going to create a variant from this and hit this button, and in this I'm going to duplicate this whole subtract. So I'm selecting this subtract layer and holding down the command and hitting D. And I'm going to delete the dots from it. And I want to create a stroke. I'm going to remove the background and set the stroke to 3. Okay, and let's just check it how it looks like on this card. So select this middle one, which leaves at 10:30, and change to this one. Okay, that's actually pretty good. I like it. I just forgot to rename it to selected. Let's quickly do that. So now that we have an indicator where are we flying from and where are we flying to, we have the month selectors and the day selectors and the flight cards. We just need to have a button here that is going to take us to another page where we can select the return flight, which is basically going to look exactly the same, but for selecting the return flight. So let's create a button here, select return flight, and that is going to be 24. I am creating an auto layout by holding down, hitting Command and G. An auto layout and 24, the right and left padding, and the top and bottom is maybe 8 or maybe 12. And the background is the neon gradient. The corner radius is 32. And the color of the text is dark one. Maybe the corner radius even a bit bigger. And the left and right padding as well. And place it to the edge of our frame. And 64 pixels is pretty good for me. Okay, so now we have the select flight page that we just designed in Figma. I hope you guys liked this video, and I'm going to drop more videos in the following next weeks, continuing this booking flow with selecting bags and other pages like passenger informations and seat selections. And I also plan to create more designs, more like application designs, iOS applications, Android applications like finance or travel ones. So if you guys are interested, make sure to subscribe to this channel and help us grow. And thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.